Have you ever seen someone underestimate a person, only to realize that they themselves were the small one all along? Stay with me until the end, because this story will leave you speechless. And before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Heartfelt story, where every tale reminds us of the power of humility and kindness. The grand ballroom of a luxury hotel was buzzing with laughter, clinking glasses, and the sound of prideful conversations. It was the annual charity gala, where millionaires gathered to show off their wealth while pretending it was all for generosity. Among them stood Alexander Harrington, a man known not only for his overflowing bank accounts but also for his sharp tongue and arrogance. Dressed in a tailored black suit with a diamond-studded cufflink flashing under the chandeliers, he moved through the crowd with the confidence of someone who thought the world revolved around him. At the far end of the hall, near the buffet, stood a young woman in a simple dress. She didn't wear jewelry, nor did she carry herself with a need to impress. Her name was Eliza, a translator hired to assist international guests that evening. She was quiet, observant, and graceful, and though she didn't belong to the wealthy world around her, she carried something more valuable than gold: knowledge. Eliza spoke 7 languages fluently, but in this room full of money and pride, no one cared about that, until the moment she crossed paths with Alexander. It began with a careless remark. Alexander overheard her speaking softly in French to an elderly guest. He smirked, swirling the wine in his glass, and walked toward her. "So, you're playing parrot tonight, repeating foreign words to impress people?" His words dripped with mockery. Several guests nearby turned their heads, sensing drama about to unfold. Eliza looked at him calmly, her brown eyes unwavering. "No, sir," she said softly, "I'm simply doing my job. I speak 7 languages." The guests chuckled, as if she had just said a ridiculous joke. Alexander's laughter was the loudest. 7 languages? My dear, I doubt you could even order a meal properly outside of this country. People love to exaggerate their talents when they have none. His words were cruel, designed to make her feel small. But Eliza didn't shrink. Instead, she smiled, a quiet strength flickering across her face. "Would you like me to prove it?" she asked, her voice as steady as a calm sea. Alexander leaned back, intrigued, as though she had just offered him a free show. "Go ahead then. Impress us. Let's see what your little trick really looks like." One by one, Eliza began to speak. First in flawless French, then in Spanish, then in Russian. Her words rolled out naturally, each sentence rich with emotion and precision. The room grew quieter with each language, the laughter fading as guests began to realize she wasn't just bluffing. Alexander, however, still smirked, though his eyes narrowed with slight unease. She continued with German and Italian, her voice rising with confidence. The once mocking crowd now watched in awe, but Alexander's pride still kept him from admitting defeat. He lifted his chin, saying, "Anyone can learn those languages. They're common in Europe. But tell me, miss, do you know anything different? Something beyond your rehearsed phrases?" Eliza paused. A hush fell over the room. And then, with a small smile that carried quiet fire, she spoke, this time in perfect, melodic Japanese. The words flowed like poetry, her tone carrying a depth that silenced even the proudest in the room. For the first time that night, Alexander had no words. His face flushed as guests began to clap, their applause echoing off the golden walls. What he thought would expose her as a fraud had instead revealed his own arrogance. Eliza bowed her head slightly, not with pride, but with grace. And in that moment, everyone could see it clearly: money could buy luxury, but respect was earned through wisdom, humility, and truth. The air inside the ballroom was heavy with silence, broken only by the echo of clapping hands. Alexander Harrington, the man who had mocked her, now stood frozen. His smirk had vanished, replaced by the look of a man who had just been handed his own reflection, a reflection of pride and ignorance. Eliza finished her Japanese phrase and explained softly in English. I said, true strength is shown not in how loudly you speak, but in how deeply you understand. Her words carried no malice, no attempt to humiliate, only truth. And that truth pierced deeper than any insult ever could. Alexander tried to laugh it off. Impressive trick, he muttered, but the cracks in his arrogance were visible to all. Guests who once nodded at his every word now looked at him differently. They turned instead toward Eliza, admiring not just her knowledge but her dignity. In that moment, the invisible scales of power shifted. Among the crowd was a Japanese ambassador who had been listening quietly. He approached Eliza with a respectful bow. Your Japanese is not only fluent, but it carries heart. That is rare. He smiled warmly and extended his hand. I would be honored if you considered working with our cultural delegation. The offer stunned the room. Alexander, who had mocked her, watched as an opportunity worth more than gold unfolded right in front of him. Eliza accepted graciously, her humble smile never fading. From that night forward, whispers about Eliza spread far beyond the gala. She became a respected translator, bridging nations and cultures, her name carried not because of wealth or vanity, but because of the richness of her heart and the gift of her voice. As for Alexander, he would never forget that night. His wealth remained, but his pride had been cut down. He learned, though bitterly, that arrogance can make even the richest man poor in spirit, while humility can turn the simplest soul into a giant. Eliza's story became a reminder to everyone who had witnessed it: never underestimate someone based on appearance, position, or status. The treasure they carry within might outshine every jewel in the room. So, the next time you're tempted to dismiss someone as unimportant, remember Eliza, the woman who spoke 7 languages, silenced a millionaire, and taught an entire ballroom what true greatness really means. And if this story touched your heart, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the Heartfelt story, because here, every tale reminds us that kindness, humility, and respect are worth more than any fortune.